पहली बार मैं 25,000 वोटों से जीता था, दूसरी बार 50,000 से जीता और तीसरी बार लगभग 1.5 लाख मतों से मैं गोरखपुर से चुन करके आया हूं। लेकिन पिछले कुछ समय से महोदय राजनीतिक विद्वेष के तहत मुझे जिस प्रकार से राजनीतिक पूर्वाग्रह का शिकार बनाया जा रहा है, मैं केवल आपसे अनुरोध करने के लिए आया हूं, क्या मैं इस सदन का सदस्य हूं या नहीं हूं, और क्या यह सदन मुझे संरक्षण दे पाएगा या नहीं दे पाएगा। इस माफिया को मिट्टी में मिला देंगे। सरकार किसकी है? सरकार किसकी है? गफलत में हो, ये माफिया है, इनको मिट्टी में मिलाने का काम करेंगे।
From this yogi to this yogi, what exactly changed in UP? How did the transformation from a seemingly weak and helpless leader to a fearless, confident, determined and exemplary leader take place?
मैं आदित्यनाथ योगी ईश्वर की शपथ लेता हूं कि
Convicted gangster Atik Ahmed along with his brother Ashraf were dramatically shot dead by assailants in the city of Prayagraj.
Atik Ahmed to Mukhtar Ansari, no mafia syndicate is safe anymore. This is the biggest fight, biggest single fight in decades against the mafia in this country.
Yogi's action on Mafia dawn continues. The Yogi government is running bulldozers on illegal property of Mafia don Mukhtar Ansari.
Several rounds of firing between inmates inside the Chitrakoot jail. At least 2 prisoners have been killed. Life imprisonment for Mukhtar Ansari is what the court has ruled now.
मिट्टी में मिला देंगे will be the most memorable and iconic statement ever made by a politician to go down the annals of Indian political history, followed by as phenomenal and conclusive action as the statement. But before looking at the action taken by Yogi ji, let us take a look at the complicated and deadly network of crime and politics Yogi ji had inherited when he took power as a young leader in 2017. Not long ago, UP usually grabbed news headlines for its rampant illegal operations and deadly criminal syndicates. Murders, kidnappings, extortions, rapes, land grabbing and gang wars were almost a routine. UP politics was an intricate nexus of mafia gangs and politics. But much before the mafia and politics formed formidable alliances in UP, dacoit gangs in the ravines were a serious challenge for successive state governments. Though these dacoit gangs were successfully wiped out mostly around 1980s, the urban mafia, as deadly as the dacoit gangs, if not more, had already surged in UP. Crime was one of the most crippling factors that had prevented the growth and development of Uttar Pradesh since decades. Despite being the political heartland of the country and also being the first state in terms of its population and 4th largest in areas, the elections in the state were never fought on the agenda of development. Political campaigning was mostly based entirely on religion and caste-based politics. So political parties were never driven to invest in key areas such as infrastructure, health and education. Farmers committed suicides, there were deaths due to starvation, women were unsafe, educational institutions and public healthcare infrastructure lay in total shambles. Corruption was rampant, law and order situation was pathetic, infrastructure was almost non-existent, and so the region was never favorable for business development. The result was 1/5 of total poor in India today are in Uttar Pradesh. But how did then the mafia gain such unparalleled power and control in UP? It flourished because it had open political patronage with political parties providing tickets to criminals to facilitate their entry in parliament and state legislature. Hari Shankar Tiwari, Raja Bhaiya, Vikas Dubey, Virendra Pratap Sahi, Atiq Ahmed, Azam Khan and Mukhtar Ansari were only a few of several such dreaded and notoriously famous Musliman turned politicians who ruled UP with sheer force of intimidation and strong arm tactics. Recently, the murder of dreaded gangster Sanjeev Jiva in the Lucknow court made headlines. While gang wars, revenge killings, kidnappings have always been a norm in UP, what made the case exceptional was that the killing occurred within the Lucknow court premises, with the shooter arriving inside the court dressed as a lawyer. Sanjeev Jiva's name had come up in connection with the sensational murder of BJP leader Brahmadatta Trivedi in 1997 and was sentenced to life imprisonment in this case. His name, along with one of his close associates, Munna Bajrangi, cropped up again in the murder of yet another BJP leader and MLA, Krishnanath Rai, who was killed in a shootout in broad daylight in 2005, with 67 bullets penetrating his body, making it one of the most sensational and brutal assassinations in which weapons such as AK-47, AK-56 and G3 rifles were used to kill the leader and 6 of his men. According to some reports, the G3 rifles were the ones confiscated by the Indian Army from Pakistani soldiers in the 1971 war. Now you can see how deeply rooted and dangerously extensive, organized and well fortified was the network that the criminals had built for themselves throughout the state. This marked the transition of UP's gangs using weapons as deadly as the Russian AK-47 from simple and crude country-made pistols. Jiva was since then lodged in the Lucknow jail, but that hardly deterred Jiva from carrying out his criminal activities, including extortion and land grabbing from his prison cell. Jiva had 24 criminal cases against him, including 5 as grave as murders in a span of 3 decades. A compounder by profession, Jiva is said to have kidnapped the owner of the dispensary he worked for, marking the beginning of his notorious activities, including the kidnapping of the son of an affluent businessman in the 1990s for a ransom of a mind-boggling sum of 2 crores. Jiva also operated a clever network which helped him acquire state-of-the-art weapons which he supplied to his subordinates in crime, including Mukhtar Ansari, a 5-time MLA with whom Jiva came into contact with the murder of Trivedi, which had been executed at Ansari's behest. Jiva was soon elevated as Ansari's right-hand man. Jiva's elimination has crushed off whatever had remained of Mukhtar Ansari's hold over the crime syndicate of UP. Among all nefarious crimes, Mukhtar Ansari was one with whom Yogiji shared a personal hostility. The reason was a particular incident that dates back to 2008. Yogiji was on his way to address an anti-terrorism rally in Azamgarh district of Uttar Pradesh, organized by BJP and the Hindu Yuva Bahini, when dozens of goons, allegedly on Mukhtar Ansari's behest, attacked Yogiji's convoy with sticks. Some even pelted stones and others even torched a few vehicles of Yogiji's convoy.
इसके बाद दोनों तरफ से फायरिंग हुई। हमलावरों ने काफिले की 12 गाड़ियों को तोड़ दिया, 3 गाड़ियां आग के हवाले कर दी गई। स्थानीय सुप्रिंटेंडेंट ऑफ पुलिस की गाड़ी को भी क्षतिग्रस्त कर दिया गया। इन सड़कों में एक व्यक्ति की मौत हो गई है। जानकारी के मुताबिक इलाके में तनाव बरकरार है और हालात काबू करने में प्रशासन जुटा हुआ है।
Yogiji was somehow whisked to safety by his supporters and managed to save him from a potential risk to his life. But the heinous act left a lasting impact on Yogiji's mind and perhaps emboldened him to unleash a powerful and decisive offensive against the cold-blooded and ruthless syndicates of criminals determined to neutralize him. Years later, when Yogiji took office as CM in 2017, he took the challenge head-on with a missionary zeal, intensifying crackdown on antisocial elements to strengthen UP's law and order situation. And today, the most celebrated achievements of Yogiji government perhaps is the elimination of more than 100 such criminals in around no less than 4,000 encounters and 10,000 arrests of gangsters that have taken place in his term. Though Mukhtar Ansari's downfall had begun when Ansari's key aide and gangster Munna Bajrangi was killed in a gang war in Baghpat jail in 2018. Later, Miraj Ali and Mukim Kala, both Ansari's close aides, were shot down by jailed sharpshooter Anshu Dikshit, who snatched a service revolver of one of the prison staff in a gang war inside a high security barrack of Chitrakoot district jail in UP in 2021. Mukim Kala had earlier made national news when BJP MP Hukum Singh claimed it was Mukim Kala of being responsible for Hindu exodus from Kairana, as they were being constantly terrorized by Muslim criminals in the area. Mukim Kala, who had 65 cases against him, ran a criminal network in West Uttar Pradesh, started his criminal career alongside Mustafa Kagga, who was famous for robberies and contract killings not only in UP but also in adjoining states of Haryana and Uttarakhand. The most legendary among these gangsters perhaps was Mustafa, aka Kagga. Killed in 2011, Kagga's popularity had reached a legendary status for ruthlessly and brutally killing police personnel while being extremely kind-hearted with civilians. Kagga's elevation had reached the status of a legend for putting fear in the hearts of the police force was perhaps the only one of its kind. Kagga is said to have trained the famously dreaded gangster Mukim, who, as I said earlier, was one of Ansari's close associates. Now coming back to effectiveness of Yogi's zero tolerance towards organized crime has been such that stories of criminals with rewards on their heads have said to have surrendered in police stations holding up placards announcing their surrender and going as far as procuring medical certificates stating they were suffering from some mental disorder. July 2020 saw the controversial, extremely dramatic and dreadful end of one more such famous history cheaters, Vikas Dubey, who was accused of killing 8 policemen and the then Minister of State Santosh Shukla inside court premises and later absolved. The manhunt for Dubey, who carried a 5 lakh reward on his head and 64 criminal cases against him, ended with his arrest. Dubey met his end when he was being brought back from Ujjain to Kanpur in Madhya Pradesh, when the police van carrying him overturned. Taking advantage of the situation, he is said to have snatched a pistol from police officer and fired at the police team, injuring 6 constables before being shot dead by the police, who opened fire to minimize further harm to its force. The entire episode was no less than a powerful script for any filmmaker and kept the entire nation glued to the news channels. As we can see, the stories of UP criminal gangs are typically a stereotype of one criminal gang breeding several others, facilitating the perpetual cycle of crime and lawlessness that UP has been infamous for. Starting in the 1980s, incremental public development activity in UP led to the rise of crime and criminals. Many gangsters began their career as government tender mafia, bagging huge government infrastructure projects as contractors ranging from coal, railways, roads and so on. They splurged the amassed wealth on politicians, government authorities and administrators. Soon a mutually beneficial agreement emerged between self-styled Bahubalis and politicians. The extent of their clout was such that a Bahubali's single call was enough to send shivers down the spine of contractors, businessmen and even government officials. Those who did not surrender to the dictates of Mafia were threatened, attacked or even killed. With both the muscle and the money, criminals soon realized the potential of their power to influence politics and the people and win elections. And many of them, like Atiq Ahmed and Ansari, soon became a full-time politicians. Ansari's rise in particular has started to pose a serious challenge to gangster-turned-politician Brijesh Singh's monopoly over coal and railway contracts. It was around this time that Munna Bajrangi had reached an iconic status amongst the mafia for killing BJP leader Rajkumar Singh. Bajrangi soon aligned himself with Ansari, who used Bajrangi to counter his rival Brijesh Singh. And it wasn't Bajrangi alone. All mafia gangs, the Bajrangis, Dubeis, Shahis, Shuklas and Yadavs have been hired by political parties at some point or the other to advance their caste and political interests. At the same time, these gangsters continued to shift their loyalties as and when required. Though acquitted in the murder of BJP MLA Krishnanath Rai due to lack of evidences, there were nearly 4 dozen cases lodged against Ansari, including 9 murder cases and the infamous Mau riots sponsored by Mukhtar Ansari. The murder accusation of Congress leader Avdesh Rai saw a drastic change of fortune for Mukhtar Ansari, who was sentenced to life imprisonment only recently. Similarly, Atiq Ahmed's empire crumbled like a house of cards after being accused and booked for the killing of Umesh Pal, a 5-term MP, resulting in their arrest. But jailed authorities soon realized that these gangsters continued to meet in jail and communicate with the gangs outside, planning and executing murders, kidnappings, and extortions with ease from the prison cells itself, and continued to enjoy all facilities and luxuries, and even making money transactions. During surprise raids, authorities discovered the inmates had open access to mobile phones, SIM cards, cash, and even liquor. In addition, the high security wards of prisons continued to witness never-ending cycle of revenge killings. Subsequently, more than 100 criminals were shifted to prisons far away from their home districts to stamp out their crime network. This was followed by illegal properties worth thousands of crores being seized, sealed, auctioned, or even bulldozed. Passports were confiscated, fake cases registered against innocents were cancelled, lands were freed, and arm licenses were even cancelled. The Yogi government has also tightened noose around those running illegal slaughterhouses and has demolished such abattoirs. The state police has cracked down on gangs involving in parking collection rackets, illegal coal businesses, and land mafia. Yogiji was soon affectionately nicknamed Bulldozer Baba, and the bulldozer, usually seen as a tool of destruction, has now become a mascot and an iconic weapon the Yogi government used to demolish all ill-gotten properties and illegal encroachments of the mafia. From houses to shopping complexes, buildings, petrol pumps, shops, and slaughterhouses, freeing up over 67,000 acres of government land from the clutches of UP land mafia. Indian citizens have been gleefully cheering the initiative and celebrating Yogiji's success in bringing down hundreds of hardened criminals and the ruthless regime down to its knees.
सरकार ने कहा मट्टी में मिला देंगे तो मट्टी में तो मिल गया, अब मट्टी में मिलने के बाद रगड़े जा रहे हैं। मेरा पूरा परिवार बर्बाद हो चुका है।
Around 61 more history sheeters are on the radar of UP police, ensuring UP will be once and forever be rid of mafia culture. It is unfortunate that Yogiji's campaign has not found favor with the media and certain section of the society, but the voices of approval are far more larger in comparison to the opposition. Yogiji has gained immeasurable popularity and trust of majority of Indians who find their trust in the government. Law and order has finally fully restored after 4 decades of mayhem and misery. Next objective on Yogiji's agenda is UP's economical revival. A parliamentarian for almost 2 decades of his life, Yogiji figured out that world-class infrastructure and connectivity are the key factors to make his state prosperous. And in the last few years, UP has been taking giant strides in that direction under the able statesmanship of Yogiji. I intend to cover up UP's rapid and extensive development in my upcoming videos. So please stay tuned. Also like, share and comment on our video if you like our content, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Thank you for watching.